Have you ever wondered what could drive someone to commit the unthinkable? Today, we're unraveling the chilling story of Casey Joy and Maribel Ramos, a tragic case that shocked the residents of Santa Ana, California in 2013. Maribel Ramos was an Iraq War veteran with a bright future ahead of her. Known for her kindness and dedication, she had served her country bravely and was now working towards a degree in criminal justice. She shared her apartment with Casey Joy, a middle aged man who had developed unreciprocated feelings for her. But what happens when admiration turns into obsession and a seemingly ordinary dispute escalates into a heinous crime? How did a disagreement over rent payments lead to the untimely death of a beloved veteran? And why did Casey Joy, a man she once considered a friend, end up taking her life? In this video, we'll delve into the lives of both Maribel Ramos and Casey Joy to understand the dynamics of their relationship. We'll explore the events leading up to Maribel's disappearance and the subsequent murder investigation that left the community reeling. Maribel Ramos was more than just a name in the news. Born and raised in California, she was known for her tenacity and compassion. After serving her country in Iraq, she returned home with a renewed sense of purpose, aiming to help others through a career in criminal justice. She was close to her family and friends who admired her resilience and drive. Casey Joy, on the other hand, had a more obscure past. Originally from Tennessee, he had moved to California seeking a fresh start. Joy was quiet, kept to himself, and harbored a secret infatuation with Maribel. Despite the significant age difference, he developed an intense and unrequited love for her. Their cohabitation seemed harmonious on the surface, but beneath it, tension was brewing. Joy's feelings for Maribel grew more obsessive, and he struggled with the reality that she didn't feel the same way. The turning point came when Maribel confronted Joy about overdue rent payments, igniting a fatal argument. Join us as we uncover the tragic details of this case, from the disappearance of Maribel Ramos to the shocking discovery that led to Casey Joy's arrest. This is a story of unfulfilled desires, betrayal, and the devastating consequences of unchecked emotions. Stay with us as we piece together the puzzle of this heartbreaking crime. Maribel Ramos was born and raised in a close-knit family in Fullerton, California. From a young age, she exhibited a strong sense of duty and compassion, traits that would later define her both in her personal life and her professional endeavors. Growing up, Maribel was known for her bright smile, her dedication to her studies, and her unwavering support for her friends and family. She was someone who could light up a room with her presence and always stood up for what she believed was right. After graduating high school, Maribel decided to serve her country by joining the United States Army. Her decision was driven by a desire to make a difference and to challenge herself. Maribel's time in the military was marked by bravery and commitment. She served 2 tours in Iraq, where she faced the harsh realities of war, but also forged strong bonds with her fellow soldiers. Her experiences overseas not only toughened her resolve, but also deepened her empathy and understanding of the struggles others faced. Upon returning from her military service, Maribel was determined to continue making a positive impact. She enrolled at California State University, Fullerton, to pursue a degree in criminal justice. Her goal was to work in law enforcement, where she could use her skills and experiences to protect and serve her community. At university, she was an active and engaged student, often participating in campus events and working closely with her professors. Maribel's personality was a blend of strength and warmth. She was fiercely independent, a quality honed during her military service, yet she remained deeply connected to her family and friends. Those who knew her described her as both a warrior and a caregiver, someone who could handle immense pressure while still offering a shoulder to lean on. She was the type of person who would go out of her way to help others, whether it was volunteering at local shelters or simply being there for a friend in need. In terms of relationships, Maribel was close to her family, particularly her mother and sister, with whom she shared a deep bond. Her friends, both from the military and her civilian life, saw her as a source of inspiration and strength. Despite the challenges she faced, including the trauma from her service, Maribel remained optimistic and focused on her goals. Her connection with Casey Joy began when she was looking for a roommate to help share the costs of living while she completed her studies. Initially, their relationship was amicable. Maribel was known to be friendly and accommodating, always trying to maintain a peaceful living environment. However, as time went on, the dynamics of their relationship would take a dark turn, leading to an unimaginable tragedy. Casey Joy, born Kwang Kol Joy, had a life that was, in many ways, a stark contrast to that of Maribel Ramos. Originally from Tennessee, Joy's early years were marked by a series of personal and professional setbacks. He had struggled to find stability and purpose, moving from one job to another and dealing with various financial difficulties. Despite these challenges, Joy was known to be a quiet and unassuming man, keeping to himself and maintaining a low profile. Joy eventually decided to relocate to California in search of a fresh start. He hoped that the move would bring new opportunities and a chance to rebuild his life. It was during this period of transition that he met Maribel Ramos. In need of a place to stay and looking to share the costs of living, Joy responded to Maribel's advertisement for a roommate. Their arrangement was initially based on practicality and convenience. Maribel needed help with rent, and Joy needed affordable housing. Maribel and Casey moved in together, sharing an apartment in Santa Ana. At first, their living situation appeared to be relatively harmonious. Maribel, always the caring and considerate person, made an effort to be friendly and accommodating to her new roommate. She understood the struggles he faced and was willing to help where she could. However, unbeknownst to her, Joy's feelings towards her began to grow beyond mere friendship. Joy developed a deep, unreciprocated affection for Maribel. He was captivated by her kindness, strength, and beauty, seeing in her a beacon of hope in his otherwise tumultuous life. This infatuation quickly turned into an obsession. Despite the clear signs that Maribel did not share these feelings, Joy continued to harbor hopes of a romantic relationship with her. He misinterpreted her friendliness and compassion as potential signs of mutual interest. The dynamics of their living situation began to shift as Joy's obsession grew. He started to become more possessive and jealous, often fixating on Maribel's interactions with other people. Despite her polite and respectful demeanor, Maribel began to sense the growing tension. She tried to maintain a peaceful environment, but Joy's unfulfilled desires created a palpable strain in their household. As financial pressures mounted, Maribel confronted Joy about his overdue rent payments. This confrontation was a tipping point, bringing underlying tensions to the surface. Joy, feeling cornered and desperate, allowed his emotions to overtake his better judgment. The dispute over money, combined with his unrequited love and growing frustration, set the stage for a tragic and violent outcome. In this video, we will explore how these elements, Joy's troubled past, his obsessive feelings, and the fateful confrontation culminated in the heartbreaking murder of Maribel Ramos. Stay with us as we delve deeper into the events that led to this devastating crime and the subsequent investigation that uncovered the truth. The tragic turn of events between Casey Joy and Maribel Ramos began with a seemingly mundane issue over due rent. Maribel, diligent and responsible, had grown increasingly frustrated with Joy's inability to contribute his share of the rent. The financial strain was becoming too much for her to handle alone, especially as she juggled her studies and other responsibilities. Despite her compassionate nature, Maribel knew she needed to confront Joy about the issue. In early May 2013, Maribel decided it was time to have a serious conversation with Joy. She confronted him about the unpaid rent, expressing her frustration and concern. This confrontation was not just about money, it was about trust and responsibility. For Maribel, paying the rent was a fundamental aspect of their living arrangement. For Joy, who was already struggling with his emotions and financial instability, this confrontation felt like an attack on his fragile sense of self worth. The argument quickly escalated. Joy, feeling cornered and increasingly desperate, lashed out. The discussion turned heated as Maribel insisted that Joy needed to either pay his share or move out. She was firm and resolute, making it clear that she could no longer tolerate his financial irresponsibility. This ultimatum pushed Joy over the edge. He had already been dealing with his unreciprocated feelings for Maribel, and now he faced the imminent threat of losing his home and the person he had grown obsessively attached to. In a moment of uncontrollable rage, Joy attacked Maribel. The exact details of the attack remain unclear, but it is believed that Joy, in his fury, strangled Maribel. The violence was sudden and brutal, a culmination of months of pent up frustration and unfulfilled desire. Maribel, a trained soldier, fought back, but the surprise and intensity of Joy's attack overwhelmed her. The life of a vibrant, caring, and determined woman was extinguished in a senseless act of violence. Realizing the gravity of what he had done, Joy's next actions were driven by panic and the desperate need to cover up the crime. He knew he had to dispose of Maribel's body and concoct a story that would deflect suspicion from himself. Joy placed Maribel's lifeless body in a large suitcase and transported it to Santiago Canyon, a remote area that he hoped would conceal his gruesome act. To create the illusion that Maribel was still alive, Joy continued to use her phone and social media accounts. He sent messages posing as Maribel, trying to maintain the facade that she had simply gone away for a while. Joy also participated in searches for Maribel, feigning concern and distress over her disappearance. His attempts to cover his tracks were both calculated and callous, reflecting a chilling lack of remorse for his actions. Despite his efforts, Joy's behavior raised suspicions among Maribel's friends and family. They knew Maribel wouldn't just vanish without a trace and that she had been worried about Joy's erratic behavior. As the investigation into her disappearance intensified, authorities began to focus on Joy. His inconsistent statements and peculiar actions only deepened their suspicions. The breakthrough in the case came when police obtained surveillance footage of Joy visiting a public library where he had used a computer to search for information on how to dispose of a body. This damning evidence, coupled with Joy's increasingly erratic behavior, led to his arrest. Further investigation uncovered the gruesome truth, and Maribel's body was eventually found in the canyon, providing the tragic confirmation of her fate. Casey Joy's attempt to cover up his crime was ultimately futile. His actions, driven by desperation and obsession, only served to seal his fate. The story of Maribel Ramos and Casey Joy is a harrowing reminder of how unchecked emotions and unresolved conflicts can lead to devastating consequences. Join us as we continue to explore the investigation and trial that brought justice for Maribel Ramos. The initial search for Maribel Ramos began almost immediately after she was reported missing. Her friends and family, who were accustomed to her regular communication and responsible nature, grew concerned when she suddenly went silent. The last time anyone had seen Maribel was on May 2nd, 2013, when she was spotted on a surveillance camera dropping off a rent check. When she failed to attend a critical meeting the following day and didn't return any calls or messages, alarm bells started ringing. Maribel's disappearance prompted a massive search effort. Friends, family, and volunteers scoured the local area, distributing flyers and using social media to spread the word. The police quickly got involved, recognizing the seriousness of the situation given Maribel's military background and stable lifestyle. The community was rallying together, hoping for her safe return, but as days turned into weeks, the grim reality began to set in. Casey Joy, who had been living with Maribel, initially appeared to be just another concerned friend. He participated in the search efforts and spoke to the media, expressing his worry and hope that Maribel would be found safe. However, Joy's behavior soon began to arouse suspicion. Those close to Maribel knew about the tensions between her and Joy, and they started to question his involvement in her disappearance. The police interviewed Joy multiple times, and his statements were inconsistent and suspicious. He seemed overly eager to help, yet his accounts of the last time he saw Maribel didn't add up. Detectives noticed that Joy's demeanor was unusually calm for someone whose close friend and roommate was missing. His lack of genuine emotional response was a red flag. As the investigation progressed, authorities dug deeper into Joy's background and his relationship with Maribel. They discovered his unreciprocated infatuation with her and the financial disputes they had been having. This information painted a troubling picture of a man who might have been driven to desperation. The turning point in the investigation came when the police reviewed surveillance footage from a public library. Joy had been caught on camera using a computer to search for terms like how to hide a dead body and information on decomposition rates. This chilling evidence pointed directly to Joy as a prime suspect. Confronted with this, Joy's behavior became even more erratic, further cementing the police's suspicions. In a critical move, investigators decided to use technology to track Joy's movements. They placed a GPS tracker on his car and monitored his activities. It wasn't long before Joy's erratic driving patterns led them to Santiago Canyon. Despite his attempts to mislead authorities, the GPS data provided clear evidence of his trips to the remote area. On May 16, 2013, 2 weeks after Maribel went missing, authorities made a gruesome discovery. Guided by the GPS data and Joy's suspicious activities, they found Maribel's body in a shallow grave in Santiago Canyon. The location was remote, and Joy had hoped it would keep his crime hidden, but his miscalculations and the relentless efforts of the investigators brought the truth to light. Maribel's body was identified, and an autopsy confirmed that she had been murdered. The discovery was a devastating blow to her family and friends, who had held onto hope that she might still be alive. The community mourned the loss of a brave and dedicated woman whose life was cut tragically short. The evidence against Casey Joy was overwhelming. The digital footprints, his suspicious behavior, and the ultimate discovery of Maribel's body all pointed to him as the perpetrator. Joy was arrested and charged with the murder of Maribel Ramos, bringing an end to the search and the beginning of a quest for justice. In the next part of our video, we'll delve into the trial of Casey Joy, examining the proceedings that led to his conviction and the impact of this tragic case on the community. Stay with us as we continue to uncover the details of this heartbreaking story. The arrest of Casey Joy marked the beginning of a new chapter in the search for justice for Maribel Ramos. The trial that followed was closely watched by the community, as everyone sought answers and closure for the tragic loss of such a beloved individual. During the trial, prosecutors presented a compelling case against Joy, showcasing the mountain of evidence that had been gathered. They detailed Joy's unrequited obsession with Maribel, the financial disputes that had strained their relationship, and the chilling internet searches he had conducted. The GPS data that led investigators to Maribel's body was a crucial piece of evidence, cementing Joy's guilt in the eyes of the jury. Joy's defense attempted to argue that the evidence was circumstantial, but the sheer weight of the facts against him was undeniable. Witnesses testified about the nature of Joy's relationship with Maribel, describing his increasingly possessive behavior and the growing tension in their household. Maribel's family and friends provided heart-wrenching testimonies about the impact of her loss, painting a vivid picture of a life full of promise, cruelly cut short. In the end, Casey Joy was found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. The verdict brought a sense of justice for Maribel's loved ones, though it could never truly fill the void left by her absence. The community of Santa Ana, while relieved that the perpetrator was held accountable, continued to mourn the loss of a vibrant, dedicated woman who had touched many lives. Maribel Ramos's story is a poignant reminder of the dangers of unchecked obsession and the devastating consequences of unresolved conflict. Her life, marked by service and compassion, was a testament to her strength and character. As we reflect on this tragic case, it's essential to remember the importance of seeking help when dealing with emotional struggles and recognizing the signs of unhealthy attachments. To all our viewers, thank you for joining us in this exploration of the heartbreaking case of Casey Joy and Maribel Ramos. If you found this video informative, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with others. Your support helps us continue to bring important stories to light. Remember, if you or someone you know is in a situation that feels unsafe, reach out to local authorities or support services for help. Until next time, stay safe and be vigilant.